I hope you're having a great day. Well, in continuation from yesterday, we're going to go over the lifestyle changes that were made over the year of 2018, the most common lifestyle changes that people made when it came to IBS and different conditions to heal themselves. So let's start off straight with IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. Now, when it comes to IBS, what we need to understand is it may be an issue of the gut, it may be an issue of the small intestine, but the number one commonality that we see in people who have IBS is anxiety and chronic stress. We need to understand that your gut is also called the ENS, which is the enteric nervous system of the human body. In simple language, your gut is your second brain. So we've all heard of those sayings, butterflies in your stomach, or you have a gut feeling that something's happening that you feel deep down in your gut. Or when you're nervous, you feel some trembling or some rumbling sensation in your gut. Now, what happens in IBS? Yes, IBS is also a result of a very acidic body, eating spicy foods, acidic foods, not eating your meals on time. Everything that we spoke about acidity yesterday also has its connection with IBS. But the number one thing is anxiety. And people who have IBS and IBS flare-ups will notice that most of these flare-ups happen when they're anxious or when they're very stressed about something else. So to heal your IBS, we need to understand that just besides working with your gut, besides working with your microbiome, which is using the right kind of prebiotics from natural foods or the right kind of probiotics from natural foods, or basically managing your gut flora, you also have to look at your stress levels and your anxiety levels, which means you got to work on your sleep, you got to work on your breathing, you got to work on letting go and accepting certain things. If you can see, everything that we've discussed over the last couple of days has its relation to do with sleep or with stress. Stress and sleep are the root causes of most issues that most of us have today. So when it comes to IBS, that's what we want to look at. Now, moving back to IBS, we also have to look at fiber. You see, today people are overdoing it on fiber. Yes, we understand that we need a certain amount of fiber, but people are overdoing it. People are overdoing it on fiber thinking it's going to reduce their cholesterol. People are overdoing it on fiber thinking it's going to reduce their constipation. People are overdoing it on fiber thinking that they will lose weight by having more fiber because fiber keeps them full for a longer period of time. These are all myths. We need to understand that too much of fiber in your system will also irritate your intestinal gut linings, your intestinal walls. Fiber can also be inflammatory to your gut lining. Fiber can also be feeding the wrong bacteria. So fiber has to be in the right quantity. It could be 30 grams for some people, it could be 35 grams for some people. But when you have a diet which is balanced, which means you're having the right quantity of fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds and your whole grains and your lentils, your legumes, everything which is balanced, which is why balance is something that we should be aiming for. Because when we aim for fad diets or extreme diets, we're either overdoing some macronutrient or micronutrient, or we're either underdoing or under-consuming some micro or macronutrient. So you can never go wrong with a balanced diet, and fill in the balance using your exercise, your sleep, your stress levels, your overall lifestyle. But your diet should never be extremes because you will have a deficiency or you will be overdoing it. So people who are drinking 5 to 6 glasses of vegetable juice a day, you have to understand that too much of fiber can also make your IBS detrimental, and it can also cause you gut issues. So let's move on to the next one, which is depression. Now, depression is a very sensitive topic, and we've seen loads and loads of people who are depressed over the last 1 year. The number one thing is accepting it. But there are so many people who have wrongly diagnosed themselves with depression. Just because some people have a couple of bad days or they go through a bad breakup, and everyone handles it differently. I'm not trying to say that you shouldn't go through these negative emotions, but sometimes just because we're used to being so happy, and then when our life moves us on a path where it becomes very rough, or we're not getting the things that we're used to getting, or we have a breakup, or someone doesn't accept us for who we are, we label ourselves as depressed. The moment we label ourselves as depressed, now there are some people who have to be labeled as depressed so that they can be medicated and they can be treated the right way. But there are so many young people out there, teenagers, adults, elderly people who just Google symptoms of depression and realize that they have a little financial stress and they're unable to manage, so they label themselves as depressed. What you make your subconscious believe is exactly what's going to happen. So if you tell your subconscious mind that you are depressed, that is exactly how your body is going to react how trillions of cells in your body is going to respond to the label that and the program that you have put in your subconscious mind. So it's always good to take professional help from a psychologist, a psychiatrist, an emotional healer, your doctor, whoever it is. But refuse to label yourself as something as drastic as that unless it really is necessary. I think as human beings today, most of us and our children are also becoming extremely soft because we're living in a world where we're trying to make everyone feel happy all the time. We're trying to bring up our children in a world where we teach them that there's no competition, everyone's a winner, and all of that stuff. You need to understand that that is the wrong way, because the moment your child leaves your protection and enters the real world where they realize that competition is real, bullying is real, not being accepted is real in society, being talked about is real, not being loved and pampered all the time is real, that's when they collapse, that's when they fail, that's when they start moving into depression, because all their lives they've been told that they're over special, they've been told that everyone is equal and all of that stuff and the world is a fair place. But we know that's a lie. We know the real truth is the hard truth that our children have to learn at some point or the other. And that's why you see the number of suicides that are happening at young ages today, where young children are giving up just because they fail one exam, or they've had their own friends in their own friend circle put them down or bully them, and then all of a sudden they commit suicide, or they're depressed, or they start doing drugs and all of these things. We need to understand, as a society, we've created this problem, and as a society, we are the only people who can fix it by being truthful about the realities and harshness of the world. There's nothing wrong in letting your children and yourselves as adults know that failure is real, that being special all the time or being happy all the time is unreal. There is no one in this world who can be happy 24 hours in a day. We have to go through sadness, we have to go through happiness, we have to go through failure, we have to go through success. It's yin and yang, it's black and white, dark and bright. We need to go through all of this all the time. So the sooner that we start changing our belief systems that everything is a fairy tale, and the sooner we start facing reality, that's when we're going to see all this depression and we become more stronger about handling our emotions. And the moment we move into emotional turmoil, it doesn't make us collapse and it doesn't make us deteriorate rapidly. So when it comes to depression, the things that we noticed through last year is this commonality of people easily labeling themselves as depressed. True, I don't want to take it away from people who are truly depressed, yes, but I'm talking about the whole other population that is just labeling themselves, oh, I'm depressed, yeah, I had a breakup. Fine, we're all sad when we have breakups. Some people will take years to recover, some people will go into severe depression. But we should not label ourselves according to a symptom. We should work with our emotions, take help if we need, but try to get to the root cause of our emotions and face them at some point. No amount of using coping mechanisms will ever solve your problem at a root cause level. You cannot drink yourself out of the problem you're facing. You cannot buy material things, and think that's going to solve your problem. You can't keep getting into rebound relationships thinking it's going to solve your problem. At some point, life is going to make you face the emotion that you're going through. It is going to make you face it. So you better face it at the start rather than suppressing it and coping with it all through and then letting it fester and build up into something that you cannot manage. When it came to depression, what also worked with people was meditation, exercise. We found that most people depressed have very sedentary lifestyles. So force yourself to be active, even if it's a 10-minute walk or a 20-minute walk. But the more active you are, you start a biochemical reaction in your mind. Make use of what you have in your body. Do you know that your body and your brain has the ability to generate chemicals which are similar to marijuana? That's why we have endocannabinoid receptors. The human body wouldn't have endocannabinoid receptors, which is nothing but cannabis, if we didn't produce the like of cannabis. So I'm not saying go there and do drugs. What I'm trying to say is understand that your brain has the ability to produce chemicals which can make you feel happy, that can make you feel sad, that can make you move from feeling sad to feeling happy. The thing is, we've disguised all of this with everything on the exterior, and we don't look within to create bliss, happiness, joy, and love from within. We're looking for it externally, and we're never going to find it. When it comes to depression, also what we found is everyone having a purpose. The most important thing for 2019, besides your weight loss goal and your financial goals and everything else, is what is your purpose in life? Because a human being who doesn't have purpose, loses hope and can never be happy. Every human being has to find their purpose in life. It could be the smallest thing to the biggest thing. The purpose of a mom could be raising her children the right way and giving them time and giving them attention. It's as simple as that. But half the moms out there today who are home moms, a lot of them feel that they don't do enough because a lot of their other friends are running businesses and running boutiques and all of that stuff. Stop comparing yourself with other people. Your meaning and purpose in life could be something as simple as your devotion towards your family, the upbringing of your children, spending time with NGOs or poor people, or building your business, or making a difference in the world. Whatever it is, find your purpose, no matter how small it is. It could be something as simple as baking bread. It could be something as simple as baking healthy cookies for your society. Make a business out of it, earn out of it, I don't care. But everyone has to have purpose and meaning in their life, because without that, we spiral downwards emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, and intellectually. So that's something that worked for people who are going through depression. And the last point was your belief system. All of us are sitting with belief systems that do not have to be correct or the way that we want them to be. These belief systems and mindsets are formed from the time we are young children, from the time we're 2, 3, 4, right through our teenage years. Our belief systems are constantly getting formed. Like belief systems like the world is a bad place. Belief system is like I'll never be able to lose weight. Belief system is like so many belief systems, like traffic is bad all the time. You need to change your belief systems in order to change the way you feel and the way you live your life. That's when it comes to depression. Now, sleep problems. There are so many people suffering from sleep problems and so many people who complain that they can't sleep. If you have a problem, it's your responsibility to fix it. There are two ways: jump on the easy bandwagon of popping sleeping supplements and pills and all of that stuff, or two is change your lifestyle. If you sleep one day at 9 o'clock and the next at 10 and the next at 11 and then at 9:30 again and the next day at midnight and the next morning at 3 o'clock, you have a biological clock. Your biological clock doesn't care about your nightlife. It doesn't care about your goals, how much you want to socialize, how much you want to party. The best way to train your body to sleep is by going to sleep at the same time every night and waking up at the same time every morning. Of course, 1 or 2 days in the week, your weekend, that's different. But what about the other days? Most of us are responsible for confusing our biological clock with the different timings of eating and sleeping every single day. And that's a huge problem. That's why we have sleep problems. Just because you slept at 10 o'clock and tomorrow you sleep at 12 o'clock and then you want to sleep at 10 o'clock again, your biological clock is confused and then we can't sleep and then we think we have problems. This requires discipline and effort. Nothing else works. Yes, there's meditation, there's deep breathing, there's left nostril breathing, and all of these things are tools. But reprogramming your biological clock is probably the most powerful thing that you can do. Now let's go back to all the people who have children. Notice your child. If they cross their bedtime, they start getting cranky, they stop eating their food, they don't have an appetite, everything changes in them, their behavior. Why? Because their biological clock has changed. And here we are changing the eating times of our children. Forget about adults. We feed them one day at 7, the next day at 8, the next day at 10 o'clock in the night. Their body needs nutrition at that particular time every day, not according to the schedule that your life dictates because of your social lives and your social obligations. So when you notice this happening in a child, their entire ecosystem in their body and brain is corrupt because we have not been able to keep their same eating timings and their sleeping timings. And that's when you have people coming with issues of their brain and low immunity and growth problems and all of that stuff, where all you need to be is a responsible parent and understand that there is a biological clock which is natural, which is according to nature, and no one can be smarter or more intelligent than that. So you fix your time. If your sleep time is 11, 12, 1 in the morning, 2, whatever it is, but fix that time, so that you at least keep your biological clock working, because there are hundreds of functions in the body that depend on that biological clock. And if you've created that clock to work at different timings, you upset hundreds and thousands of other physical, biochemical, physiological, chemical reactions that happen in your body at a cellular level. So the simplest thing for sleep, besides your meditation, besides your deep breathing, besides cutting away from gadgets 1 hour to 1.5 hours before your bedtime, these are all lifestyle changes, is trying to go to sleep at the same time every night. Now most people are, it's impossible. Yeah, it's impossible for you because you're making it impossible. Because you put your health not as a priority, but your socializing, your career and everything else is your priority. Do that if it suits you, but remember at some point, You'll need your health for everything else that your career and your social life will never be able to give you. We'll do one more before we end it for today. We'll talk about thyroid. For the longest time, hundreds and thousands of people across the world have been treated for an underactive thyroid problem, where their actual problem is a Hashimoto's thyroid problem, where the solution is actually the gut and not the thyroid problem. Now, how do we know this? Everyone is made to do a TSH test, a T3 and a T4, and if your levels are high or your levels are skewed, you're put on a thyroid medication and you're made to believe it's for a lifetime and that you have an underactive thyroid gland. As we speak, we have thousands of people worldwide who are no longer on their thyroid medication anymore after 10 to 20 years of being on it, because they did a further test called a TPO or a TG, which is your thyroid globulin or your thyroid peroxidase. These are anti-TPO and anti-TG, normal, simple blood tests. If you do this and you have a thyroid problem and your levels come positive and high, you have a problem with your gut. And if you focus on healing your gut and you reduce your TPO antibody count and your TG count, there is a chance that your thyroid medication is going to go down, down, down to the lowest dose, and possibly and eventually your doctor will be able to stop your thyroid medication, because we are not treating the root cause. If your thyroid problem is a Hashimoto's, which means your gut is inflamed and it's allowing these antibodies to enter your blood where they're not supposed to be. They're supposed to be exiting your system, but because you have a faulty gut or a leaky gut or an inflamed gut, these antibodies are moving into your blood. And your immune system wakes up and starts attacking your own thyroid gland. So in that case, it's Hashimoto's. In some people, it's attacking their joints. It's arthritis. In some people, it's attacking the skin. It's psoriasis, eczema. For some people, it's worse. It's multiple sclerosis. It is lupus. It is hair fall. It's alopecia, and so many different things, only because you have a faulty gut. So when it comes to thyroid, number one, you want to determine, what do I have? Is it an underactive thyroid or do I have a Hashimoto's? And you can do this simple anti-TPO or TG test and determine that. If your results come positive, put all your focus on your gut. If it's an underactive thyroid, find out deficiencies in your body, like MCTs, like selenium, like zinc, and work with your professionals to find out how you can overcome these deficiencies and enable your thyroid gland to start working again. Yes, there is a population that will have to be on thyroid medication for a lifetime, but I'm talking about the whole other population which is unnecessarily on medication because they've only relied on it treating their symptoms. So work with your doctors around this concept, and right now you should know that there are hundreds of thousands of people who are no longer on it. So it's a belief system. Someone put that belief system in your mind that thyroid medication, lifetime. Well, that's a lie. For some people, yes. For most other people, it's your belief system. Change your belief system, put an effort and discipline in changing your health, and believe me, you will be able to reduce your medication and possibly get off it at some point. Have a great day, everyone. Until next time, eat smart, move more, sleep right, and breathe deep.